stop the whackness. We're down with Isabella and Ferdinand Conquest. Down with the dates and shit talking contests. Down with rappers' lies, acting like onsets. Falling on the stage, niggas down with the cross-dress. Never down for the people, but stand on their shoulders. Down with dirty Moors and Jesuits like boulders. Down for the count, pull the fangs of the counter, punch him down his throat. Put on the yoke and watch him fall down from the top like a scapegoat. I self-law and master, not down with the great hope. If you wanna be down, you better lift yourself up like elevators down with locks and alien predators. I hope you get it. Step up, you know you're going down. Rappers fronting like an MC when he's really a clown. Yeah, Moorish, Master MC. Yo, what up, Stevie Thunder? I hear you. I feel you. Moorish, Master MC, flow fluent. In the language of hip-hop, international student. Life is the school. You might fool me once, never twice. Cause on home court we have home rule. I might spit your face with the mic if cordless. More or less, most or less, more. Therefore, they're more or less. And far worse when most stick in a verse. In their big shades, t-shirt, skirt, and tablet purse. Frontin' the flow, niggas tongue dry like a corpse. Put rappers under such pressure, I'm watching them walk, watching them sweat beads like a Buddhist rosary. When I call out their jeans and shirts tight like hosiery, whirlpool flow. When I spit so rotary, have some Moors there to witness, no notary. Characterizing Moors active with roguery. When the real culprits deal heavy in potpourri. No, not cedar wood shavings with lemon balm leaf. Conscious cat blacks rap with tricks up their sleeve. I'm the golden era return that make them about turn. Cause I'm blasting KRS loud. You must learn, but first unlearn. Put it out your memory. Would aggravated assault on a rapper be a felony? What about kidnapping a rapper, torture him after a while shaking locks, more rasta with demonic laughter? Niggas so them bozos ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, niggas so them bozos ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, niggas so them bozos ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, niggas so them bozos ain't rhyming right. Negroes are mostly y'all heroes. Full of self-righteousness, all ego. Most of these cats, the deal's back in the fudge. I won't budge, plus know it's dread when I judge. You say thou shalt not, that's your opinion. From Hitler is where universal got minions. Apply understanding of knowledge, gain wisdom. Hip-hop free minds in commercial rap prisons. Rapper is the CEO, labels the warden. A&Rs and radio station leaders getting their portion. To keep you sleep by beats called trap, to beats by Dre. So it doesn't sound whack, many didn't learn from Shia Ali. Life is a strap or a movie. Spitting BS rhymes, you lose me and lost me. Rapping Microsofty. Can't beat a gun charge and can't beat a court fee. Niggas so them bozos ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, niggas so them bozos ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, them niggas so bozos ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, niggas so them bozos ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, niggas so bozos ain't rhyming right, niggas so bozos ain't rhyming right, niggas so bozos ain't rhyming right, ain't rhyming right, niggas so bozos ain't rhyming right, they not rhyming right, down, none of y'all rappers. Moorish Master MC. I don't give a fuck about none of y'all rappers. Yo, you did it with this one. I don't give a fuck about none of y'all rappers. Rap inquisitor general, torture a rapping dummy. Wearing eyeshadow, piercing his tongue and tummy. Piercing the lips and wearing gay earrings, king. One was bad, but now y'all are killing it, king. Some rappers taking it, some giving it, king. Just to have a whip and a mansion, be living it bling. Living it artificial, acting like clones. When I hit you by text, I don't mean by phones. Moorish squad bomb rappers on tracks like drones. Like casual, I didn't mean to put bats to your dome. Splitting numbskulls, squashing pea brains. No lean nails on fingers when I does it. Little chicken McNuggets, rapping meal toys. Got young gods clapping, leave you limp like steam back. Troy asking what's happened, like you didn't know or expect it. For talking that misleading trash on all your records. Moorish MC of the year, some say I'm a jerk. Around too much truth, and the feelings got hurt. You rapping earlier, birds on microphone masters. I don't give a fuck about none of y'all rappers. Moorish MC of the year, some say I'm a jerk. Around too much truth, and the feelings got hurt. You rapping earlier, birds wearing skirts are clocking, cause I don't give a fuck about none of y'all rappers. There's nothing you homo rappers do that surprise me. Rapper inquisitor make you eat poison ivy. Trimbago hot sauce all in your eyes for burning. For not teaching on mics that from Masons they learning. Rap black Nazis and you're not even German. Rather rap heads with t-shirts than Moorish turbans. Turning Heru logos to American eagles. Gold loose rope chains. Only songs about cocaine. Cough syrup and liquor mix you wide DJs. Still stacks of vinyl crates if we play. Don't believe anything or follow what cheeks say. I study. Keep my album sides broken and some sides bloody. Burn rappers like crosses in front of your homes. Moorish Ku Klux Klan and stomping on lawn gnomes. Throwing hip-hop award bricks to rappers' windows. Most hip-hop songs are just commercial jingles. Moorish MC of the year, some say I'm a jerk. I rhyme too much truth, and the feelings got hurt. You rapping early and birds on microphone masters. I don't give a fuck about none of y'all rappers. Moorish MC of the year, some say I'm a jerk. I rhyme too much truth, and the feelings got hurt. You rapping early and birds wearing skirts are clocking, cause I don't give a fuck about none of y'all rappers.
It's like full-blown war in the get it on, get it wrong, we're coming forth strong like the bit is on. Salute to the God Abaddon, who they know like iron sheep, giving out the knowledge in the songs and in the streets to the ones that seek. Just the meek will inherit, the truth I don't vary. Turn up my speakers, little louder so you can hear it. Don't be fooled by my appearance, I am clearing up the record. No, we ain't finished yet. Slaughterhouse for these dummy rappers who ain't been a threat. I'm dumping all your records to the curb. I'm bringing back the classics. Give me J. Rue, that brass tag shit. I'm bumping MOP and that boot camp click. I'm crushing all you candy rappers. And yo, if seeing is believing, I ain't sure that none of you harder than my breakfast. Tea and crack.
Moorish MC of the year, some say I'm a jerk. Around too much truth, and the feelings got hurt. You rapping early and birds on microphone masters. I don't give a fuck about none of y'all rappers. Moorish MC of the year, some say I'm a jerk. Around too much truth, and the feelings got hurt. You rapping early and birds wearing skirts are clocking, because I don't give a fuck about none of y'all rappers. Woo! Hey, yo, Stevie, we got this. What more can I say? Much more, just listen. Spit like I'm pissing and elixir mixing. Moorish Master MC, my mysticism. 3 minds locked in a cryptic prison. A soft penis, you homos, that's a sundial. No executive, let alone Ray run the trial. Standing on the square, no diamond in the air with his hands. No paperwork costing them grands. No friend begging, just fam chest pegging. At 3:30, upside down, circle 7. Up the Nova cast, no over mask on me. My destiny child was Kelly Rowland, not me. Call her Beyonce, she was a babe once. Before you call it hate in your face, smoke from blunts filled with the maca. Not roll type, but proper in persona. Got 90% of minds in comas. Open up your mind, your third eye blind. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Open up your mind, your third eye blind. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Hey, many times I said it, still gotta say it. I don't spit on mics for radio to play it. Not looking to do shows cause new bros wanna hear rap, anything whack or pseudo. Tight shirt, skinny jeans, artists, nothing baggy. I pass most that rap, I'm the microphone cabbie. Niggas want Scooby snack tracks, I'm not shabby. Only Moorish and 90s MCs make me happy. Build pyramids like Large Pro and Pappy. On the run, eating cocoa bread and veggie patties. Thinking about what Taj Bay said about Ali. Fix misconceptions, distorted perceptions. Warped views have minds corkscrewed. Running from the sun, but tan beds could force hues. Put a split in the illusion, quick and walk through. Put a split in the illusion, quick and talk through. Open up your mind, your third eye blind. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Open up your mind, your third eye blind. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. I talk to my ancestral celestial more crew. Bring back 90% mental space for you. To exercise higher than electric wires. The self that's not lower, deceptive liars. Getting on microphones, spitting like retards. Lying like they got lines like runaway zebras. Got youths walking like they shit their trousers. Can't even run away acting like rebel rousers. High up the so-called weed, I call it bush and waste of money. No seeds, man, you a dummy. Smoking your life away. Following guns cap, whack rappers beefing over Biggie blunt raps. On a bottleneck of liquor, they always sucking. Either with their boys or trannies with nuts tucked in. Hip hop ain't old school, she's just a youngin'. Rap the creamy, stillborn gets all the loving. Thinking you got verses, save it for hearses. Commercial rap, deathbed on your night nurses. Hold the plug 1 and 2, not daylight. No need to get mad, I'm just doing a favor. Open up your mind, your third eye blind. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Open up your mind, your third eye blind. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes. Rappers like truth in those darkness rhymes.
The street is my world. I don't pretend to go uptown and be anything fancy. I can, but I find more real in the world that I'm in than I do the tinsel. And the real world is the one I have to deal with every day. You know, believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left. The bass kick.
Playtime been over since y'all dropped the ball. Bound to the continent, there's no asylum for y'all. Pushing the black Asiatic game with Ford L and Pool Bay. Before NOI, I rep draw L all day. How many fakes proclaim to be the reincarnation and claim to be the true head of the Moorish nation? No mention of being ill, but I read his letters. Dirty Moors mad cause they thought they dead as letters. Many were there when decisions were handed down. Now they claim that Muleel was not ordained, not commissioned, not called or appointed. With divine plans for ages, but Dirty Moors making changes. Working with FBI during infiltrations. In a pheasant alleys giving bogey smoke inhalations. And secret wars were made, heads are made in public mentions. Don't believe, get the minutes of the first convention. Kirkman and Lomax Day got called out as villains against the prophet Soden and L. Called Gibbons. Thousands of Moorish Americans followed those leaders that killed the prophet and made Moors parrots, not readers. They don't study, brains hollow. To crush the truth, plant dissension in the ones that follow. Rob the treasury, felt like they hit the lotto. Took advantage of the faithful Moors in their times of sorrow. Moments still critical, 100 years later, the message. Stick to the principles in your actions, be progressive. Don't sell your soul for a title, take your membership role. Watch out for grand cheeks pushing you in a censorship hole. The sellout was great, now they comfy and won't get the hell out. Active Moors come around, they get clumsy. Not humbly, but act grumpy and jumpy. Active Moors see them touchy and think it's lovely. Your face is ugly, I push back so don't shove me. If not for love, it would be just as Dirty Moors get from me. Hitting all reincarnates with writs of discovery and demanding the treasury recovery and love for money. Wearing affairs don't make you a Moorish adept. Dirty Moorish heads are Boy Scouts and cadets. Working for FBI inspectors, slaves for gadgets. Claiming they got pulled, but they really dead magnets. Running a fraud that's done cause new Moors are here. One for all for one profit like mustard puppeteers. Bay, not Tampa or Buccaneers. I strike nerves like harp strings on those puppeteers. Pushing misconceptions as teachings and calling it facts. Swinging my scimitar tongue, not a fireman's axe. Quick to call me out as dirty, say I violate acts. If you don't nationalize, know that I annihilate blacks. Nailing through their palms and insects on beams of wood. Burn crosses on black lawns in my Moorish hood. Black Klansmen like movie from 1960. White power, not supremacy like Clayton Bigsby. Now I run through illusions, battling my arch nemesis, misconfusion. She's been trying to keep me out of course, facing losses, calling all her negative forces. 99 years passed, Drew Ali said 50 would pass, and you wouldn't know about me, or even know what I brought for you. NOI and UNIA knew about him too. Most thought that they could bury the movement, be in charge, passive and abuse it. But Drew said new more would come with eyes open, seeing and knowing, far from hoping. Far from belief in faith, master fruition. Study the laws of nature, activate intuition. One day our wheels of industry will stop, and when it starts again, more will be on top. Drew Ali blessed with latent power. Warned you, get out the way of the ground to powder. Drew Ali didn't kill you fast, but he brought you your title and estate vast. Confusion continues to confuse, no remembrance of Maghrib al-Aqsa by Moorish descendants.
Run through illusion, battling the arch nemesis, misconfusion. Islamors, we're out here. We're out here on a Monday. You know what happens? You know something happened. You know something happened when we have a Monday. Now I just want to show you how much of a fraud people are. Just so that you don't hear it from what we say. So we're just gonna go listen to something.
This is the power of nationality. But people keep trying to buy that power through the UCC, which is another jurisdiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's another jurisdiction. But then they think that has brought them the power that comes under the pedigree, under the blood, because of the associations that people keep presenting them with. And it's not true. And so they really trick you, and you got more fiat, and still when it comes to really claiming to be a surety holder, they're the first surety holder and you're second. It's no different than someone being a line of credit. You having to lean on me because I owed you first. You haven't leaned on me because I owed you second. You haven't leaned on me, owed you third. And so you say, now, see, man, I done discovered this thing, man. I'm going to make this instrument and everything. You just come and claim this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get this account and everything. And you know, not going.
Remember, that's just how they sound today. Keep in mind, just what he's talking about is how they sound today. Selling you this. When this has to do with your pedigree. We've been learning this. This is not some new stuff. We've been known that. And you're gonna come tell me some BS? If you didn't really take notice of what's going on, Jamal Bey left that BS. If you did not paying attention, everything that is built on fraud has no standing right now. They still haven't found out how they're going to get Drew Ali out the way, because everybody's talking about him. All the people who know and been knowing what's up, playing like they don't know. They're going to tell you go over here and put lien on social security number, but they're not telling you about Noble Drew Ali. Well, they're going to tell you that they write a writ for you Give them 200, but they never tell you about the Prophet? How they never tell you about the Prophet? How you get all the way to filing some paper or whatever, and you don't even know Noble Drew Ali's birthday, and you tell me that you're some more doing something? What you talking about? People are playing with this. Tell me any BS about you're reading somebody's palms and whatever, and you're not talking about Noble Drew Ali. FOH. Lean social security, you don't put a lean, and then people are really going there. Remember, let's just check the right. This is 2011. 2011. What he's talking about was before 2011. This is our track record. When we say we're Moors and we've been studying or whatever like that, this is how our track record goes. Just so you know right now. Everybody knows. Nobody can front with whatever. Everybody knows that wasn't for Taj Street Bay, enough people wouldn't know that they're Moors. And everybody knows that Taj Street Bay always said, don't follow him. Always. Back in 2011. I don't know what people talk about now. But in 2011, we already had the picture with the Moabites strangling the eagle. In 2011, like we told you, Moors had Chicago locked down. 2011. Lockdown. Certain states were locked down when it came to Moors. But you're not going to hear about that because all you get is online. All you get is somebody just popped up. They put Taj Street Bay's face on their website. Whether they paid for his picture to put it up there or whether he said use it for a little bit, and because he's not online, he doesn't really know that it's probably still up there or whatever. Because back in the time of 2011, this was about birthright, pedigree, blood. Not I joined something, so I'm a Moor. Back then, never that. You talk like that back then, you're a dumbass. Just like back then, certain stuff that was whack, people are doing today, and they're like, yeah, he's doing the stuff. Yo, that was whack back in 88. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but that was whack in 88. And we have, code of the streets. We're gangstar and all that. We're not these BS stuff that people are playing around with now, calling that whatever they're calling it. They're cut from a different cloth. And we were told to make sure that we study. We were told make sure that we study. We weren't told follow somebody. We weren't told because this guy has the golden chair, go chase that guy because he has the golden chair with the Noble Drew Ali carved into the stuff. And the Quran's on the back of the chair. That's the Noble Drew Ali's chair. We're going to chase those Moors? FOH. This is about you better get your mind right. This is a lot more. Maybe got something back there.
I was just listening. I was waiting on the video because that's the heat. You know, Taj goes right in and just, like you said, 2011.
2011.
Back then, everything was sounding a lot different back then.
Super different. Super duper different. And again, this is not going to change or pass away. So this is not something that is going to change. It is what it is. It's your birthright and your nationality. Nobody can sell this to you. As soon as they try to sell it to you, you got them. As soon as they try to tell you join there, whatever to get it, you got them. As soon as they try to play like they're the ones that Noble Juali sent to give you you got them. Because 2011, this wasn't about not connecting with Moors just because they say El or Bay. This was, we're already connected. So you see a more Islam, it doesn't even matter. You're asking about where he's from and all that stuff. So you see a more Islam more. And then that more sending it right back. And it's not even no animosity, no which temple are you from and which body are you, whatever. There's Moors right now who are telling Moors that they can't go through the Adab chamber because they know certain people or they study from certain people's websites right now. The word's out already about what this is about. Everybody knows except the Negroes. Now these people using the Moorish birthright and playing games with you. When 2011, the individual said Consulate General of the whatever, right? We don't know if he's saying that. That's what's on their website. Like, we don't know. I never heard no, right? He is the whatever. I'm only hearing other people talk like that. So we can't use that as a reference. When somebody, for example, like we know, for example, we know that Taj Freebay is not texting anybody. When a Moor who knows Taj Freebay personally and he's getting texts from Taj about watch the consular court thing. Something's wrong. Because what we know is 2011. Just in case let's hear some more.
AU and all this stuff like that, you know, and all this stuff, but when it really boils down and claim, ain't nobody arguing because I gave you some more finance. Yeah. It's just like a license. Yeah, you don't need a license till they ask for it. Right? Yeah. So now when the claim is made, right, you're the first lien holder. I'm the surety holder. Then you say you as an example as a judge. This is where a lot of people lose with UCCs, and they don't even pay attention. And it's so obvious a child can understand. All right, I'm the surety holder, and I've got this instrument because I'm happy to clown the second. Right here, so I'm a surety holder, and I filed this with you. Am I a proper person? Oh, you did, huh? Well, Corner right here. You, Joe Smith, happy to clown second, third. Is that in all capital letters? Yes, it is. Well, that ain't me. Oh, all right. You just surely all those yours. It's given. They don't need to say this, right? And you say, well, you just said you're surely holding this. Is this you? No, that ain't me. Contempt of court, because now you're kind of still right in front of the court. So you just lost. They'll go through the motion and everything, but truthfully, you just lost. Because it cannot You cannot have a claim on a straw or anything that you admit in one breath that's not you, but then you create an instrument to get a benefit from it. Because you're not the original constructor of it. The original constructor owns that. Now, and by them being in a corporate entity, they protected themselves and they're hiding behind this. It's a deceitful instrument, but you didn't say that. You didn't disclaim it. You sort of benefit with it. All right? So now, what happens is while you've been holding this instrument, you transact a first fiat with it. That's all cool. Now you're trying to claim, now the claim is challenged. They don't argue every issue in the court. There's certain things that are assumed and accepted. The constructor of it is, and since you said it's not you, it automatically goes to, without argument, the original constructor of it. And it's not you, because it's all capital letters, and you can't accuse him that it's you, because you just said it ain't you. But you created an instrument trying to get a benefit, but that's his account. You didn't charge him with fraud, so that's not before the court. So that's not the issue.
Right? So we're putting fraud before the court of the people. That these people are playing games. Because based on 2011 teachings, he's speaking in direct opposition of the information they're putting out right now. Right now, they're putting out information telling you to go do UCCs. Consular court people. But if this guy's consular court, then how come they're not sounding like how he's talking right now? And this is him 2011, not him now. This is him 2011. And ain't no way anybody's talking like that and saying in 2018 they're gonna go do some process. That's completely asinine.
Put a lien on a social security number. That's crazy.
So somebody must be playing games. Because you think that this is all over, that they're trying to tie Moors to some sovereign citizen BS. And this is how they do it, with Moors pushing this. That you have to do UCC, the UCCs. Like I said, we have a track record. This 2011 uploaded to YouTube. 8 years ago, this been up. Why? Because it was a freaking CD. It wasn't even MP3. It was a CD. And then back then, when you upload, and it's longer than 15 minutes, that's all you get to put up. To all these parts. All these parts talking about why it's BS. And these people are talking today. And as you see, Rise of the Moors is back. Not some consular BS. Why? Because you realize that, oh yeah, this is what actually about birthright. I was getting more done in my own territory than I have these people trying to make me do with them. Because the work is really about uplifting our people. It's not about anything else. It's not about who's the best, whatever, whose card looks the best. Those are the ones that you're going to follow. You're a dumbass. How the hell we were brought up in this? right? So you can go watch the stuff. And then, oh yeah, since Allah set it up, did you watch the thing with the YouTube I sent you?
Yeah, I watched it.
On the Snitch, the Snitch TV? Okay, so we don't want to talk about the Snitch TV, but talk about the content that the individual was talking in. Because I never watched it, because I'm not pushing play on this shit.
Right.
Forget that guy.
Now, the brother was speaking on that channel. Can I mention the channel?
No, just mention the dude if you want. Let people go look and find whatever, but I don't want to say it's nothing. Snitch. We can say Snitch. YouTube Snitch.
Right.
YouTube Snitch. YouTube Snitch channel.
Yep. And he had an interview, and he did it. And what was crazy now? Okay, the person who's getting interviewed, the rapper or whatnot, he has a jacket on, and it says race on it, RACE. And I was like, looking at the jacket, I'm like, okay, I wonder where he's going with that. But okay, the interview, like at the 6-minute mark, he starts going in on the word black, and he does the quote unquote when he mentions it, and he starts going in on black not being a nationality, it being a status, and that Obama at the time, him being the so-called president, he knew what the status with black was as a status, and African American, what that means as a status in law, and he didn't do anything to help the people. So he was saying how all of them are criminals. Obama is the same thing as George Bush, but we all know all of that is true or whatnot, but he goes in and he starts speaking about the treaty, a peace and friendship too. He was like, Obama, he speaks about the treaty of peace and friendship, but he doesn't go in about the history. And then he looks at the guy who's interviewing him. Now, this was what was really interesting. The whole time the guy's mentioning about black being a status and all of that, the interviewer, Snitch guy, he doesn't make one comment about that whole scenario. When he started talking about Obama being the president, the interviewer guy starts mentioning, every chief officer or whatever, chief executive officer, has committed murder. And then I'm listening, I'm like, that has nothing to do with what he just said. Like, because he's avoiding the status in the black and the African American. He's not mentioning that at all. Mm-hmm. He won't. Mm-hmm. But the guy, every time he talks about anything else, he is intrigued on it. He'll add on to it. Oh, what about this? What about, and then have something to say about it and add into it. But when he started talking about black being a status, he wouldn't even mention a word. He just sat there and let him keep talking. He didn't add on, and I thought that was very snitch-like of him. Like that's what he's all about. You know what I mean? Like those guys, all of them, fake, conscious, try to help the people, but they all, Boule took the oath, can't do anything to really help the people because we all know that interview guy, he has the feds at home tied down. They all do. That's why they get what they get to get, be who they get to be at. And he was not trying to add into that section of the interview, but everything else he was adding in on. But yeah, the interview. The rapper guy.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this before you go on. When you talk about like what them having a fez at home and let's say you know, being part of, you know, sororities and whatever else. Like, how are you looking at that with regard to where you're at? Because I know, you know, like you even been in certain circles with people, and it's like, you know, they're not telling, but they know, you know.
Right. Well, all right. Okay.
Because well, like you said, like I never watched it, but from what you're saying, to not have input in the most important part of the dialogue.
Right.
You know what I mean? Being have a camera set up and have a guy and interview and have the intro freaking whatever and all that stuff. You know? Because it must be a fluke thing because of, you know, who he might interview. So if it's like a fluke thing, then we know that divine's involved.
Yeah.
For certain information to be put out using this snitch platform. You know?
Yeah.
But to really sit back and know what's going on, but not, you know, involve yourself in pushing that conversation or whatever. You know, from what I'm hearing, you're saying them connected to the secret fez wearers is why they have to take the step back.
Oh yeah, well, they're selling out. It's not, you can't sugarcoat it and be like, oh well, you know, no, they're selling out because, you know, the whole thing is nationality is the order of the day, and if you're not mentioning it and you know about it, then you're obviously part of the problem. You know what I mean? Like, how are you know what the remedy is? Like, this guy's over here, you know, sick or whatever, and you know what the remedy is, but you're just not gonna say anything.
Mm.
You're just gonna hold that to yourself. Because, you know, if you tell him with you know, it's repercussions, you know. They're gonna lose their so-called finance, you know. They're not gonna have their, you know, they want the steak. They don't want the slop. You know, they want all the good. They're not taking the slot. They don't want that. They don't want to go with, because, you know, once you know this information, you got to do something about it.
Mm.
And most of them in their positions and their livelihood and how they're living their lives, they can't do anything. They can't, and, well, they can, but they won't. That's the problem. Because, like, wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to help your people. You're supposed to uplift fallen humanity.
Bottom line. Yep. Bottom line.
But them sorority guys who took the, you know, like, they're not there to help the people get, because, all right, so, like, for example, there's people who, because, you know, there's other people who have been invited to be part of these groups or whatever, lodges, and with conversing with them, they'll tell me, only reason why I didn't enjoy it is because they're supposed to be helping the community. All they doing is helping each other. And I was like, oh, that's coming from somebody who doesn't know nothing. But he knows that stuff that they doing is not right. They just coming in here having clubs and helping each other to get better. You know, they not going outside of their Kappa Dappa people, whatever, sorority guys. They just, or Masonic groups or whatever, they all helping each other. You know, they like if you're not one of them, they not trying to help. A lot of it's very, you know, like it's weird because I work with capitalists or whatever, you know, and I watch them. You know, it's just like I'm observing y'all. I worked with someone that was someone in the Nation of Islam for 42 years, and we talked. I told him I was a Moor. First thing he said was, "Oh, Noble Drew Ali," and I was like, "Okay." Wow. So they know. It's not like they don't know. They know. And this somebody that's been in the nation 42 years. First, I told him I was a Moor, you know, and the guy, his friend who I was working with, he was just like amazed that, because his friend, you know, the way he carries himself, and you know how people carry themselves in the nation and stuff like that.
Right.
The way because that's his best friend, it's been his best friend all his life.
Yeah.
The way his demeanor changed when I told him I was a Moor, and then they talked or whatever, and he came back to me the next day, and he was like, "Man, I don't know what you told my friend, but that stuff, you know, he could not stop talking about you last night." I was like, "Oh, look at that." And I was just wondering, like, because his friend, the guy I work with, he don't know what I know. So he was just talking jibber jabberish to him. Yeah. You know, if I was there, I would know what he was saying. You know, like who he was talking about, and you know what. But he was just like, man, he just wouldn't stop talking about you, and I was like, wow. But you know, all I said was I was a Moor. That's all I said. I didn't say nothing. You don't know me. I said the magic word, though.
The magic word. That magic word will get you.
And that's why I'm like, because I watch him, man. He is like amazing, because they're all about that stuff, you know. Like they literally, like what they say, you know, they literally all about getting money. You know, like it's about getting money. If it's not getting money, they ain't doing it. That's exactly what everything is. I gotta get money. I gotta get money, and I'm like,
I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. Yeah, okay, fine. You need money, fiat, whatever you want to call it. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, whatever. Fine, yeah, you need it. But like, to what? You know, what type of ritual is that? You just keep getting more of this stuff, and ain't nothing changing. Right. You don't feel weird that you're super duper duper straight and people are eating out garbage or whatever? You know? Like no moral sense of humanity.
Yeah.
This paper they got stacked up and all that. Paper, like, regardless of what, because the house is going to come down to what paper they got. The car is going to come down to what paper they got. The 50 car is going to come down to 50 pieces of paper that they got for the cars.
Yeah.
People need help. It ain't freaking, you know what I mean? Like, uplifting fallen humanity is something that has to be done. But knowing thyself is also something that has to be done. And we're going to go through some of this tomorrow, for class tomorrow, but we could start up today. Lesson 1 in the Message to the People course of African Philosophy, Marcus Garvey, forerunner of the Moorish movement. You must never stop learning. The world's greatest men and women were people who educated themselves outside of the university with all the knowledge that the university gives, and you have the opportunity of doing the same thing in the university student does. Read and study. One must never stop reading. Read everything that you can read that is of standard knowledge. Don't waste time reading trashy literature. This is to say, don't pay any attention to the 10-cent novels, Wild West stories, and cheap sentimental books. But where there is a good plot and a good story in the form of a novel, read it. It is necessary to read it for the purpose of getting information on human nature. The idea is that personal experience is not enough for a human to get all the useful knowledge of life, because the individual life is too short. So we must feed in the experience of others. Feed on the experience of others. The literature we read should include the biography and autobiography of men and women who have accomplished greatness in their particular line. Whenever you can buy these books and own them, and whilst you are reading them, make pencil or pen notes of the striking sentences and paragraphs that you should like to remember, so that when you have to refer to the book for any thought you would like to refresh your mind on, you will not have to read over the whole book. You tell me he's not talking to Moors? He's not talking to Negroes. This African course, or this course of African philosophy, was not for the Negroes. Because remember, this is the forerunner. So they didn't even know what they had. They didn't even know that the forerunner of the prophet was amongst them. They thought he's some black guy.
Yeah, that's an introduction to nationality right there.
Right.
If anything.
Yep.
Because, like you said, that's not for no so-called black guy. Because even when we were that at the time, if somebody was to read that, my mind off to La La Land. I wouldn't even hear that. I wasn't even hearing that. I didn't even hear that, what you just read.
Yep.
But because nationality and birthright, all I did was just do compare and contrast the whole time. I'm like, oh yeah, check. Check.
Doing that. Yep. Right in tune with the teachings of the forerunner.
Yep.
Right in tune with the teachings of the forerunner. Right?
And then making sure because that's what it is. When you be reading and studying, you just basically seeing whatever you're confirming what you already know.
Yeah, straight up.
It's like, okay, I was already doing that. Yep, check. Yep, I was doing that. Yep, check. You just confirming it.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing it right. You got it. You got it.
Got it. That is the point. You should also read the best poetry for inspiration. The standard poets have always been the most inspirational creators. From a good line of poetry, you may get the inspiration for the career of a lifetime. Many a great man and woman was first inspired by some attractive line or verse of poetry. I mean, and think about the song where you had the first dance and then
Yep.
the ritual of poetry, whatever form that it's stimulating to you. Like I'm telling you to study that. This is part of the course. This is the first lesson of the course. Make sure you're studying. Lesson 1, study.
Right.
Right? You can even say study, study, study. If we're talking about intelligence, education, universal knowledge, he's not talking short term. Right? This is a good part coming up. There are good poets and bad poets, just like there are good novels and bad ones, or good novels and bad novels. Always select the best poets for your inspirational urge. Read history incessantly until you master it. Read history incessantly until you master it.
Okay.
This means you go ahead, Mark.
No, real quick.
Go ahead, Mark.
Because only way you know he's talking to a Moor. Now listen, right? The mother teaches us if you think your history started on a slave ship, that's where it's gonna end. If he's telling you to study history extensively, he's telling you that I hope you just don't think that it was just slavery. Like, I hope you just don't, like, but please, like, you guys are Moors. Like, he's letting you, like, if you study history extensively, as soon as you go past 1492, they're talking about the Moors. If you study history extensively, you got to go past 1492. You got to run into the Moors. You can't have history without talking about the Moors. He's letting you. What book is that?
Huh?
What book is that? Letting you know.
Marcus Garvey, Message to the People, The Course of African Philosophy. Edited by Tony Martin. Forward by Honorable Charles L. James, President General, Universal Negro Improvement Association, the new Marcus Garvey Library, number 7.
Now you know that they talking about Moors when he's talking about studying history extensively. Like there's nothing else you will run into. European history is gonna go past. Well, according to CMB, 1800, especially not past 1492. That's no 7/11 to 1492. They let you know that Moors were in that time. So if you're studying extensively, you have to run into the Moors.
Yep.
It's almost like he sounds like a Moor.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's a Moor, but he
Yeah,
sounds
but
like one of us talking now.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Watch this again. Read history incessantly until you master it. This means your own national history.
Oh, wait. No.
This means your own national history. That's the first point. He goes on to tell you more histories that you should study. The history of the world, social history, industrial history, and the history of the different sciences, but primarily the history of man. If you do not know what went on before you came here and what is happening at the time you live, but away from you, you will not know the world and will be ignorant of the world and mankind. You can only make the best out of life by knowing and understanding it. To know, you must fall back on the intelligence of others who came before you and have left their records behind. Which is why we started with the dangers of the UCC. Because to know, you must fall back on the intelligence of others who came before you and have left their records, behind, so you can have some reference point as to what the hell's going on, so you're not going to be played by clowns out here for your birthright. Remember, this is the forerunner talking. This is the forerunner telling you. You have anything to add more?
No, I don't have anything better than that. I don't have anything better than that. I looked up the real quick in the Webster's dictionary, unabridged 7th language dictionary, copyright 1909. The definition of study. Right?
Feel free to read all of it.
Yeah, I can't read it. It's a page and a half. It says study. Middle English, study. From Old French, study. Estude, state of perplexity, or revere, a revere application of the mind to the acquirement of knowledge. Study, from Latin, studium, eagerness, application of the mind to the acquirement of knowledge. Study, Atkinson Latin, studier, to be eager, be diligent. Study, Latin, tundere, Tundere, to be, more astent. One, a state of absorbed contemplation, perplexity, abstraction, paused, and appear to be in a deep. Alexander MacDonald, I guess that's who said it. The long silences that meant I was in a lost study. Eve Langley, the application of the mental faculties to the acquisition of knowledge. Observation and reflection. Such application of the mind in a particular field or to be specific. Subject matter, scholarship, which is illuminates, taking up the history, enter upon thee of law, a careful examination or analysis of a phenomenon, development of questions, usually within a limited area of investigation. Individual cases and groups of adolescents have been made of, it was talking about investigating cases, I guess. A building or a room furnished, especially with books, and devoted to study or literary pursuits. The books contained to such a study or a collection, a place of learning, universities, the lower level of the inner stage of a Elizabethan playhouse, often used to represent an indoor scene. I wonder what that is. But it keeps going, man.
Yeah. We get the point. Study is serious business. Study is serious business. To be able to read intelligently, you must first be able to master the language of your country. To do this, you must be well acquainted with its grammar and the science of it. What's the science of grammar? Etymology. What's he telling us? Master the language of your country. To do this, you must be well acquainted with its grammar and the science of it. Every 6 months, you should read over again the science of the language that you speak, so as not to forget its rules. Garvey. Remember, this is the forerunner. This is the forerunner, who the red, black, green, and all of that, and they say they rep him. They rep him so much, why don't they know about their own national history? The only national history we have over here is that we're Moors. Like, there's no black, Negro, colored history. National history on top of that. And for him to be that specific and say national history, and this is the forerunner of the Moorish movement. And we know that the two of them were about to merge. We know this. We know that they were about to merge. And people are going to play games today with you?
They don't say Garvey say he's studying etymology. They don't even talk about that.
Garvey's telling you to study the science of grammar.
And they could, like, we're taught black. But Moorish is taught, like, that's what I'm saying, like, the forerunner, the harbinger, Marcus Garvey. That's why I'm like, he's speaking directly to Moors. And it reminds me of El Hajj's, what is it, great grandson or whatnot, when he said it's the people that get the message wrong.
Yeah.
It's not the forerunner or whatnot. It's always the people who try to follow him or try to put his word out who mess up the whole thing. It's the people who get it wrong. Because once you go to his literature, it's like, oh, he said it. Yeah, that's it right there. Should be doing exactly that. I mean, we're doing it, but a harbinger. He came right with it. Right with it. I'm like, man, study their grammar every 6 months. That's crazy. If they did that, they would obviously know. If all the Garveyites did
that,
what Garvey said to do.
Every 6 months, you should read over again the science of the language that you speak, as to not forget its rules.
If they did that, they would obviously know that we can't be African American, Negro colored, black, can't be any of that. Any of that. Any of that. Only thing they wanted to do was go back to Africa. Why would he tell you to go back there? Why would his message be to go back to Africa if he's telling you to master the language where you're at?
Where you're at.
Master that. I don't think you have time to be thinking about Africa, going over the language you got to speak every 6 months. If you reading books every, man, what? You don't got time to do any of that.
That's crazy. You know, the boy just said in the chat. So you know how you read the copyright of yours? What would be the copyright of Garvey and Drew Ali and them's etymology dictionaries?
Yeah, I think about that all the time. Every time I find anything, I think about it all the time. Look, man, it's the most amazing thing in the world. When I find stuff, I have to look at Noble Drew, because his picture is still on the refrigerator. He's grilling me, right? So every time I find something, I look at that wall, I look at that refrigerator, he be looking at me. I be like, yo, how did you do it? And he just be looking at me. I be like, that's how he did it. That's how he did it. That's how he did it. That's exactly how he did it. He did it just like that. I'm like, how did you do it? I did it. I'm like, oh, that's how you did it? Okay. That's exactly how he did it.
He did it.
He just did it. I'm like, yo, there's no
how. There's no how. He did it.
Right. I was just talking to my mom earlier. I said, Mom, how did you get a plane back in the day? Like, I can't just go to the airport and buy a ticket, right? How does that work? Because I only bought tickets online. It's like, I never bought if I wanted to buy a ticket, can I go to the airport and buy a ticket? She was like, oh, I don't remember. I'm like, you're supposed to remember. Like, what do you mean you don't remember? I'm like, yo, stuff just different.
Yeah. Yep. You're taking a little bit more. This part's pretty good too. People judge you by your writing and your speech. If you write badly and incorrectly, they become prejudiced towards your intelligence. And if you speak badly and incorrectly, those who hear you become disgusted and will not pay much attention to you, but in their hearts laugh after you. A leader who is to teach men and present the fact of truth, men must first be learned in his subject. Now, this is why you're supposed to go out and study. This is why when you hear Canaanland Moors classes, you hear discussion. Because everybody's studying. It's not just some head of some temple or whatever that's supposed to be studying. And those are even some other levels where the reverse church plays in how, Moors still ain't got this yet. Still playing around? Garvey got a course in African philosophy telling you about knowing your national stuff. That's harbinger talk. That's how forerunners talk. because they're prepping the people to receive the prophet. And remember, I had them saying Allahu Akbar and all of that in the UNIA. Thinking that there were some Negroes in there? What did Negroes know about Allahu Akbar? What did the black go back to Africa guy know about that? Oh, because they would have to speak Arabic, wouldn't they? Now you got Arabic over here. All these things. Never write or speak on a subject you know nothing about, for there is always somebody who knows that particular subject to laugh at you or to ask you embarrassing questions that may make others laugh at you. And that's how we look at the people who answer the questions about Moors, but they're not Moors. You have no right to speak or talk on the subject of Moors if you're not a Moor. You have a choice in anything. But we'll more likely deal with the rest tomorrow. Pretty good chapter. Pretty good chapter. A pretty good lesson, I mean. Lesson 1.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't ask someone who lives in China, you wouldn't ask them, oh, well, how's Sweden? You know what I mean? Like, brother, I told you I live in China. Like, why are you asking me about Sweden?
Yeah.
The guy just told you he's Afrocentric, whatever, and then you're over there. Well, what do you think about the Moors? He just told you he's Afrocentric, whatever.
Yeah.
Why are you asking him?
Why are you asking him? He's Afrocentric. He's not really letting you know he doesn't know himself.
But you're going to ask him about what he think about the Moors. You know his face going to frown up.
Frown face.
Dude,
you know they do frown face.
They get so angry. So angry. I was going to do because that's what I wanted to do. Like, because there's so many shout-outs around my jurisdiction. Because I remember we wanted to, we were going around letting everybody know that they Moors. Yeah. Putting out the newspapers and stuff, calling radio stations, and people just 100% of the time shutting us down.
Yeah, shut down.
That was our own. Yeah. Never, not 99.9, and we got 1%. No, 100% shut down every time. Every time. Cuts out, hang up on. And it was only Moors who was doing it. It wasn't. Yeah. We were calling, European stations or whatever, trying to, calling those so-called European Christian stations or whatever. Yeah. Man, we was calling our stations here that was on there talking about, so-called Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. And we thinking, okay, they want to help our people. We think we got a remedy for them. So we called a radio station, hung up on. hung up on live. That's how they do words. Because these radio stations, they like to have their radio station live in the station too, on like a feed or whatever you can watch, like on Facebook or whatever, and be on the radio station. I watched the man hang up on me live. I watched him hang up on me. The craziest thing in the world. watched him hang up. My own people. As soon as you say the special word, no. I had another one come on there live yelling, "We're not Moors." Yelling, and this is this is Ben Swans, and he's a politician here. He ran for city whatever forever, and his brother is a pastor, and he works at the radio station. He came on there yelling, "We're not Moors," yelling it mad when I know that they all are Masons, all got feathers, all know we're Moors. Like he definitely knows we're Moors.
Yeah.
100% shut down every time. It's always what? My Moabite, she see it now. She said just like me. It's always gonna be your own. I said, I told you. I told you. You see it now. You thought it was them. It's your own. Always gonna be your own. The ciphers. Those are the ones. The ones who are like you, but just chose to be on the other side. That's the the prophet saying. They chose to worship gods they never seen before or whatnot, or other gods or whatnot. He switched up sides. Los Indios.
Los Indios. Rotten. Islam to all the Moors. Thanks for the vibes today. Sending it back. You already know. Sending it back. We'll see what's good for tomorrow with some more of this message to the people, since he's talking so big on studying, and some Moors don't want to study. They want to go chase some picture on a website. Don't even know that people haven't even done any classes with them people for a year. Playing around. They play it out here. You have any closing remarks, more?
Yeah, it's mine to the Moors in the chat. Give thanks to you for the platform, Grand Sheep. And give thanks to the Prophet for reminding us, because he said it, I came to you Moors because you needed me the most.
Yep.
He didn't have to come to us, man.
Straight up.
And that's what's right there. And look how we treated him when he came. We treated him.
Treated him horrible.
Yeah, the Prophet.
You already knew.
Yep.
No, go ahead, Mark.
No. I'm good. I yield the floor.
Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Chat Moors. Islam, I see you had no. Even the chat muftis got to chill today. These damn Moors talking crazy in the chat had me freaking having to hold my mouth and run away so I don't laugh on the freaking thing, these Moors. These Moors. I don't know what's wrong with these Moors.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with these damn Moors in the chat.
Yeah.
Putting up stuff.
I be seeing them. They be they be chat moving in other people's chats. I be looking at, I be like, look at Jeremy. I see Jeremy in somebody else's chat. All I saw was wrong. I was dying laughing. Jeremy Bay. I said, that's my brother right there. That's my brother. I clicked right. I just clicked on it. I clicked on it. Chat popped over. All I saw was Jeremy Bay. Wrong. I was like, that's my brother. That's my brother.
Killing them. Killing them in their chat.
I don't even know what happened.
Killing
He was already killing them right now. That's not what's happening right now. The Moors do not give you a chance.
Straight up, yo. You're not even getting that chance with these wars. Either.
You're not gonna go over here think you're gonna slide this and sink this Moors. No, you're not. We're over there too.
Straight up. And for the Moors in Canaanland, don't forget we have our spring ritual this Saturday over at Rouge River. We'll get that email out on where that is, where we're going to be meeting up, and the meeting time is going to be about 12:30. So for now, just prep yourself to be somewhere in the east end of the city, so we can do our east gate of the quadrant ritual for the new year that's coming up on 20th, 21st. So peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. We're here. We're almost there. And let's spring forward for another great one. Don't forget, that's going to actually be Sons of Allah Day. So don't forget Sons of Allah this Thursday, blogtalkradio.com, MHHS Eyes Wide Open. And Canaanland Moors YouTube channel right here. We'll be live, going in on something this Thursday, 9 p.m. with Sons of Allah. Islam to you, brother Yusuf. Give thanks. You know what I mean? Yeah, you'll send some apples, even though you haven't got to worry tonight.
Nope. Still good.
Good.
Still good.
Islam to all the Moors.
Wow.
Peace and love, Moors. Islam.